This is Providence Television International, the game changer. Stand by for the next program.
Russia's Putin welcomes world leaders for three-day B.R.I.C.S summit, and war and instability bring African governance progress to a halt. This is the world news. Good afternoon, thanks for joining us on the world news on Providence Television International. My name is Edna Cesargarrick, and now the details. Russian President Vladimir Putin is hosting the annual B.R.I.C.S summit, which started on Tuesday in Russia's southwestern city of Kazan. The three-day conclave will be the largest gathering of world leaders in Russia in decades and will be held at a time when the Kremlin is blocked in a war on Western-backed Ukraine. B.R.I.C.S stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. The group started in 2006, and Brazil, Russia, India, and China convened for the first B.R.I.C.S summit in 2009. South Africa joined a year later. The aim of the alliance is to challenge the economic and political monopoly of the West. The group sets priorities and has discussions once every year during the summit, which members take turns hosting. The summit is the 16th held. In 2023, B.R.I.C.S extended invitations to include Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and United Arab Emirates. After these countries applied for membership, Saudi Arabia has yet to formally join, but the others have. An invitation was extended to Argentina at the same time, but the South American country turned it down after President Javier Milei, elected in December, campaigned and promised that he would bolster ties with the West. 24 world leaders attended the opening of the summit on Tuesday. Leaders of several other countries that have shown interest in deepening ties with B.R.I.C.S are also participating. In March 2023, the International Criminal Court (ICC) in The Hague issued an arrest warrant for Putin, accusing him of the war crime of illegally deportation children from Ukraine. The central theme that unites B.R.I.C.S members in their dissolution is a disillusionment with Western-led institutions of global governance, especially when it comes to the economy. To that end, B.R.I.C.S parties want to reduce their dependence on the US dollar and the SWIFT system, an international messaging network for financial transactions that Russia banks were cut off from in 2022. According to scientists, global warming intensified the rainy season in many African countries in 2024, sparking deadly floods. The World Weather Attribution (WWA) network said on Wednesday that human-driven climate change caused by the use of fossil fuels had made seasonal downpour across the Niger and Lake Chad basins 2 to 20% worse this year, unleashing humanitarian catastrophe. According to UN aid agency, flood killed about 1,500 people and displaced more than 1 million in West and Africa this year. The rains also overwhelmed dams in Nigeria and Sudan. Such downpours could happen every year if global temperatures increase to 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. WWA warns it has forecast that this could happen as early as 2025. The role of climate change in the flood was compounded by other human-made problems, said scientists, calling for better maintenance of dams and investment in early warning systems. Progress in democratic governance in Africa has ground to a halt, according to a new report issued by the Mo Ibrahim Foundation. The latest edition of the Ibrahim Index of African Governance, published on Wednesday, found that progress in governance across the continent came to a halt in 2022 following 4 years of almost complete stagnation. Backsliding in 21 countries means that nearly half of Africa's population lives with standards of governance that have declined over the past decade. Noting the link between poor governance and violence, Ibrahim referred to a huge arc of instability and conflict and highlighted the war in Sudan and coup in West and Central Africa. Pandemic, lockdown, and the global trend towards strongman politics may have emboldened autocrat. Concerns was also expressed over the financial straitjacket in which African countries are struck owing to heavy debt burdens and the high premiums they must pay to access cash from global leaders. Standards have fallen across Africa, including in high-ranking countries, with Indian Ocean nation Mauritius knocked off the top spot of the Seychelles after registering a decade of deteriorating standard. Progress was seen in 33 countries, with improvement in areas like infrastructure and women's equality for roughly 95% of Africans, albeit from low bases. But the good news was undermined by falling scores in areas like the rule of law, rights, political participation, and especially security. The report, which measures variables like public services, justice, corruption, and security, is considered the most comprehensive overview of African governance. If you are just joining us, this is the World News on Providence Television International. The Lebanese armed group Hezbollah has claimed responsibility for a drone attack last week on Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's holiday residence in Caesarea in northern Israel. One of 3 drones launched from Lebanon hit Netanyahu's holiday residence on Saturday. His spokesperson said the prime minister was not in the vicinity at the time of the attack and there was no casualties. Reports say there will be no negotiations with Israel while fighting continues, and acknowledge that some Hezbollah fighters have been taken captive by the Israeli military. In response to Israel targeting of Hezbollah-linked financial firm Al-Qad al-Hassan, Afif said Hezbollah had anticipated such an aggression and has taken all precautions and will do everything that is necessary to fulfill its obligation towards depositors. After Saturday's drone attack on Netanyahu's house, Israel launched several air attacks on Beirut's southern suburb and has since continued. On September 23, Israel launched an intense bombardment of Lebanon and later sent in ground forces after nearly a year of cross-border exchanges of fire with Hezbollah. More than 2,500 people have been killed in Israeli attack on Lebanon since October 2023, according to Lebanese Health Authority. Away from the foreign scene now, back home, President Bola Tinubu has appealed to members of staff of Nigerian universities to give a chance and avail themselves of the opportunity of negotiation created by his administration. President Tinubu made the appeal on Tuesday, stating that his administration is committed to uninterrupted academic session in the university. The Academic Staff Union of University, the Non-Academic Staff Union of Universities, and the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities are all geared up for strikes following the failure of the federal government to meet their demands. The unions are demanding, among others, the payment of withheld salaries during the 2022 strike. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo on Tuesday lamented disunity in the country, adding that the flow has hindered the country from achieving greatness. Former President Obasanjo disclosed this when he received the 20-member delegation of League of Northern Democrats led by the former governor of Kano State, Alhaji Ibrahim Shekaraho, at his penthouse in Abeokuta. Obasanjo blamed regionalism as practiced before obtaining independence in 1960 at the foundation of the country's prolonged lack of cohesion. Former president, however, stated that despite the inspiring situation of things in the country, he remains optimistic that Nigeria will be great again as long as mistakes of the past are corrected. MTN Nigeria, the country's largest telecom operator, has stressed the urgent need for the telecommunications sector to return to profitable to sustain its operations. The chief executive officer of MTN Carl Toriola made this known on Monday during a tour of MTN facilities by fellows of the Media Innovation Program in Ibeju-Lekki, Lagos. The MTN chief, who has about 78 million subscribers under his watch, pinpointed that this sector has been accumulating significant losses and that immediate action is necessary to reverse this trend. The operator, with a corporate social investment of 2.6 billion naira, according to its 2023 sustainability report, is now surviving on the profit it accumulated in about 2 decades. It further elaborated that the company is currently operating on its reverse, which he described as unsustainable in the long run. Early this year, telecom operators renewed calls for a tariff hike, the first increase in 11 years, to address rising operational costs and improve service quality, stressing that without such adjustment, financial viability and services standard will continue to decline. Toriola reiterated that the sector faces critical pressure from rising operational costs, including escalating diesel prices required to power base transceiver station. Toriola noted that MTN, once one of Nigeria's top corporate taxpayers, has seen its tax contribution decline as a result of these financial challenges. Tragedy struck on Wednesday along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway as a driver lost his life after his white Mazda bus collided with a moving truck near Car Park C in the Lotto area of the highway. The driver, who was only occupant of the bus loaded with bags of potatoes, was reportedly heading to Lagos when the incident occurred. According to eyewitness, the driver may have dozed off behind wheel, losing control and crashing into the truck from the rear. Confirming the incident in a statement to journalists, the public relations officer of Ogun State Traffic Enforcement and Compliance Agency, Babatunde Akinbiyi, said the accident was caused by excessive speed and possible fatigue. Akinbiyi explained that the driver was speeding and most likely dozed off. The Mazda bus, fully loaded with potatoes, was en route to Lagos for early morning delivery. While expressing condolence to the bereaved family, Akinbiyi urged motorists to exercise caution, especially when traveling at night, stressing the danger of speeding and fatigue on the road. The unfortunate crash highlights the need for increased awareness and enforcement of road safety regulations, particularly along high traffic roads like the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. With that, we've come to the end of the world news. But before we go, a recap. We brought you the story which said the Lebanese armed group Hezbollah has claimed responsibility for a drone attack last week on the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's holiday residence in Caesarea in northern Israel. One of 3 drones launched from Lebanon hit Netanyahu's holiday residence on Saturday. We also told you that progress in democratic governance in Africa has ground to a halt, according to a new report issued by the Mo Ibrahim Foundation. The latest edition of the Ibrahim Index of Africa Governance, published on Wednesday, found the progress in governance across the continent came to a halt in 2022 following 4 years of almost complete stagnation. According to scientists, global warming intensified the rainy season in many African countries in 2024, sparking deadly flood. The World Weather Attribution WWA network said on Wednesday that human-driven climate change caused by the use of fossil fuel had made seasonal downpours across the Niger and Lake Chad basins 2 to 20% worse this year, unleashing humanitarian catastrophe. And finally, Russian President Vladimir Putin is hosting the annual B.R.I.C.S summit, which started on Tuesday in Russia's southwestern city of Kazan. The 3-day conclave will be the largest gathering of world leaders in Russia in decades and will be held at a time when the Kremlin is locked in a war on Western-backed Ukraine. That's our package. Thanks for watching. Edna Sagarik is my name. Good afternoon.